Hello friends, we are back with another deck guide. This time we are going for our OVERSIEGE deck. I put up a guide for this on plaguewent.com as well if you want to check that out. But basically the deck revolves around 10 set leader, mobilization, and creating as many siege engines on the board as possible and swarming your opponent. And hopefully, depending on the deck, pushing for 2-0. It doesn't always work out, but when it does, oh boy, is it fun. So I have just one example game for you today, as well as the deck guide. So I hope you enjoy, and be sure to like the video if you want to see more content from myself. So without further ado, let's get into the deck guide. Alright, we are back, and this is OVERSIEGE. I call it that because of the amount of siege engines you're able to create in this deck compared with normal lists. I put up a deck guide on plaguewent.com, so if you want to have a read at that, the link will be in the description. But other than that, we're just going to go over the deck and all the key cards, and we'll see how it goes. So first thing to notice is we're using Engineering Solution, which is the Northern Realms Stratagem. This boosts an ally unit by 3 and gives it a shield. Really important because we're using it mostly on our Reinforced Trebuchet. This is pretty much the MVP of the deck. You want this card to survive for as long as possible. Unfortunately, it does get countered by movement, but not every deck runs movement, so hopefully it'll be able to survive a fair amount of time. Siege is also a very important card. So Siege basically is a way to create multiple siege engines at once. We normally use it on a Reinforced Trebuchet. So we create a Reinforced Trebuchet with the Siege. We then use our leader to bring out another copy from the deck, which then brings out the battering ram. And then we have another siege engine in our hand, which finishes off the progress of the scenario. So it's pretty crazy if everything manages to survive. Like I said, against Nilfgaard, it is a bit of a problem because they can normally deal with most of that relatively quickly. But if you're not against Nilfgaard, then you're generally doing okay. Probably the worst matchup that we have. So Falibor is next. Falibor is pretty standard. He's in almost every Northern Realms list. Good for removal, good against elves, stuff like that. Queen Adalia is a card you don't see very often anymore, but she is actually really good in this deck because the longer your siege engines can survive, the better they do, generally speaking. So you're using it on pretty much anything you need to. Reinforced Trebuchet is the best example. Philippa is just pure removal, so use it to the best of your ability. Pick the best time to use her and hope that the numbers go your way. If you can manage to get 11 points off her, then you're doing well. But generally speaking, she is used for she's like an anti-swarm card, I think would be the best way to describe her. Bloody Baron is good, but I'm not seeing any tall units anymore these days, so I'm actually thinking about swapping him out for another 10 provision card. I haven't decided what that is yet, but maybe generic removal with Karathi Heatwave, Royal Decree, maybe even Lambert or something like that. So I haven't decided yet, but if anyone else has any interesting ideas for what to swap out Baron for, please let me know in the comments, and you can give it a try yourself and see how that goes. Avalak is nice, and I'll tell you why. Because of the mind games that he plays. So you're putting a Trebuchet on the range row that pings unranged. You then put Weather on melee, and your opponent either plays into Weather or they play into a Trebuchet. Really useful in round 1. Normally when we're on blue coin, that is when we're going first, we like to put down our Avalak as our sole kind of 10 provision card. So it's kind of a 3, sometimes it's like a 3 and out type situation where we'll play down like 3 relatively decent cards. We'll use our Engineering Solution. We'll drop the Avalak on turn 3 if we have a decent, tick on Weather. And then we'll just pass. We'll just get out of there basically. So he's really, really useful. Again, against elves, probably your best matchup. You can use him to get rid of elves kind of, fairly quickly because a lot of them are quite low power. Mata, don't really need to explain this card. It's a staple in every deck, so you should probably just run it. Pulls our Siege, pulls our Falibor, Queen Adalia, Philippa. Nothing really more to be said. Donatalis, again, he pulls Reinforcements, Bombardment, and Boiling Oil. Boiling Oil is like good removal. Bombardment is kind of more, split removal. And Reinforcements can be used to get another copy of your Trebuchet, Reinforced Ballista, or whatever it is you need. So these cards as a package are kind of they're kind of your control / removal package. As for the siege engines themselves, we are running Carballista, Reinforced Ballista, Siege Tower, and Reinforced Trebuchet. I am considering as well taking out the siege towers for battering rams, but again, I haven't moved on it yet. So if anyone wants to try these out and think they might be better, then they can go ahead and do that. Also under consideration, which I know is a little strange, is 2 copies of Cursed Knight, because there's a lot of poison around and we want to deal with that pretty much. So yeah, keep all that in mind. They're all kind of similar to each other. The only ones that are special, I would say, are the Reinforced Ballista and the Trebuchet. The Ballista gets charges when you use your Warfare cards, which means that you want to play him out ahead of playing the Warfare cards, if possible, because he gets additional charges. Same for Reinforced Trebuchet. You want to play this out if you have the capacity to boost it either in your hand or already on the board with your Radovid's Royal Guards. So this guy is a formation and order, so if you put him on range row, he gets boosted up to 4, and if he remains boosted, he gives the unit 2 armor in addition to boosting it by 2. So the idea is to lead with your Royal Guards if you can in round 1, and then in turn 2 you can put down a Trebuchet if they, you know, commit something decently high powered, boost it by 2 and give it 2 armor, and then you've basically got an engine that is pretty much immune to removal for the duration of the round. Like I said, movement is a weakness of this deck, so if they do move the Trebuchet, it is a bit of a pain, but there's not much you can do about it, so you just have to kind of do your best. If you win round 1, pretty much what you want to do, depending on the deck you're against, pretty much what you want to do is either dump your Mata to guarantee your siege in round 3, or if you already have your siege, to draw into your Falibor, Philippa, or Queen Adalia. Or if you're confident that you can actually push your opponent, yeah, you basically just go all in, keep all of their units off the board, and yeah, just try and bully them out of the round, basically. In a long round 3 situation, except against Nilfgaard, you're generally in a pretty good spot. Against Skellige monsters, which I don't really see much of at all anymore, and Scoia'tael in particular, your kind of opening turn is maybe Royal Guards, followed by Siege, which will spawn a Trebuchet. Then you pop your leader, you bring out another Reinforced Trebuchet, which is boosted to 7. You use your Royal Guards to boost the first one to 6 if it doesn't die. And then you're basically pinging 2 things every turn. You get a Battering Ram as well for free, which is really nice. And if you have any single other siege engine in your hand, hopefully a Reinforced Ballista, so you can get an additional charge on it as soon as you play it. Then you drop your bombardment, and then after that it's basically just keeping your engines alive if you can. You can top them up with Kedwenny's Sergeants. That's the reason I've included these here. They're not quite as versatile as Royal Guards, although Royal Guards are more vulnerable to being removed, whereas the Sergeant gets 5 points immediately. So it's pretty much just up to you. But that's pretty much it. The deck is really fun to play. I highly encourage you to check it out. It is not tier 1, I don't think. So if you're playing below Pro Ladder, that's probably the most enjoyment you'll get out of this deck. Because it does have certain vulnerabilities. So if you remove its engines, or even if you move its engines, then it generally doesn't have that great a time. It works best in a long round, which again is not always ideal, because if you're on blue, if you're going first, your opponent will push you quite a lot. So if they manage to catch up or perhaps beat you uneven in round 1, then you're not going to be in the greatest spot. But nevertheless, it's got tons of removal potential, almost too much removal potential really, because combined with Bombardment, Philippa, Falibor, and multiple Boiling Oils, you're pretty much removing everything your opponent puts on the board. There is sort of an argument to be made that it's like too control heavy and that you're actually losing points, but from my experience I haven't found that so far. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the guide. Be sure to like and subscribe. like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from myself. As I said, sample games, I genuinely looked for them a lot, really hard. I tried to play a bunch of games, but I don't want to show you games where I'm getting like obliterated by Nilfgaard, which is never fun, because poison is like super strong right now, Which reminds me that the only single card replacement that I would suggest would be taking out reinforcements for Kukudak, because Kukudak actually does purify the poison. But anyways, I will talk to you all on the next video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Take care. But I really just hope we don't come up against Nilfgaard. Okay, Scoia'tael is decent, and this is actually an interesting
One piece. Fight for it.
leader ability. Is that the one? Is it Dana? Oh, it's Invigorate. Boost all the units in your hand by 1. I actually see it so rarely. I almost got surprised. Okay, so this would be a bit of a weird example if it does end up being the one that I use. We're gonna kick this. We are going to kick. Probably kick this as well, and then 1 copy of Bombardment. You're going to lead with. We could go Royal Guards, yeah. Let's do the Royal Guards. We can go Royal Guards and then follow it with a Reinforced Trebuchet. Generally works out pretty well. Winning round 1 isn't usually the problem with this deck. It's kind of battling against everything else in round 3. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right, so he's going turn 1 leader. That's interesting. Looks like we're gonna have to. We've got a fight on our hands. We're gonna need to throw out some tempo pretty early on. Mahakam Defender. Sure. I wonder if we go. Yeah, this works.
Appearances can be deceiving.
So it's always going to be the highest, I think. We'll go ahead and drop Fog. Take the boost away. And then if he wants to keep boosting it, it will of course keep getting pinged. So he will still be losing value, I think. 1 point per turn. Do. Taking a sweet time. Roping for the win. A trap. It's a trap. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and drop TA here. I don't expect that he will stay around for much longer based on his style of play. Alright. We need to make sure that we have a siege engine left in our hand that is not a trebuchet. Sure. We can afford to play 1 trebuchet, but not another one. Okay. So we're losing a bit of value, but if he does want to play units of any kind, we will be getting value. And we're probably looking to pass soon after this anyway. Mata is probably the only other card I'd commit. Alright. Pretty easy 4-round pass. I don't even know what this was. Was it like a special card thing? I honestly don't know. Quite strange, quite strange. Okay, Carbalista. And copy of that. So we are looking for our scenario. We can draw into it in Mata, so we'll drop that first. Bombardment can go, Trebuchet can go, and there is our siege. We could actually try and push for the 2-0 here, because if we're against traps, there is a tendency for, you know, for them to play you force them into playing their traps in this round. Mata will draw into. Oh, let's just do this.
Fall overboard and I'm not jumping in after you.
Play the Royal Guards, and then we can, if he doesn't commit anything too strong, we can follow it up with Siege, and we can just try and push him hard. Go to we could even try and go to a short round 3 with the likes of Triss, Philippa, Falibor, etc. Okay. Buffed Millane.
Some things cannot be forgiven.
That's fine. I'm actually okay with that.
With me, you'll forget.
Let's just
your
do this.
sorrows.
So same story again. We basically pressed a reset button. We're one point up. So if he plays something else that's like crazy high tempo, then we can bail out. But otherwise, still thinking about pushing. Once we start racking up those points, then things will start going pretty well. All right, let's see. Do we push or not?
Got a hearty hankering for Gwent.
We're only down by a few points. I'm gonna take a risk here. Because he's put it on ranged, which is good for us. Nice. Okay. The next turn, we will play this. We'll get a bombardment. We will pretty much erase his row. Or erase both rows. And we're going to play it down the reinforced ballista to make that happen. So he's already used his Mullane. He's buffed a bunch of units in hand, but I'm not sure he has. Does he have the capacity to remove even one of my engines? I'm not sure he does. Avco. Sure. So we're gonna take a shortcut here, and we're gonna kill that first. And we're gonna hold on to the battering ram as well. Pretty much one turn at a time here. We can reassess every turn whether we want to pass. I very much doubt he can catch up with us in one card anymore. So we'll always have that buffer, which is nice. Somewhat conscious of the fact that he might be playing Crushing Trap as well. Let's see. Probably just play this up here. Sure. So, losing a couple of points of value there. But as I said, if you can keep your opponent's board pretty much clear, you have a pretty nice push no matter what. So, it's pretty nice a lot of the time. Not really used to playing against traps, honestly. It's a bit strange. I was not expecting it at all. Okay. So we'll keep that off boost, and then we'll almost kill it, basically. Yeah, this is going pretty well. I think we might use... We'll definitely use this as an example, but of how to push for 2-0 with the deck. But I would definitely get a larger sample size against different factions before you make up your mind whether you want to continue playing it. It definitely does have a trickier time against the likes of Nilfgaard that are more interactive. They can actually just like swipe your units and your engines from you, etc. So that is something to keep in mind. Yeah, we're just gonna take that out because, you know, why not? Drop a Carballista here. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 2-0 situation. But stranger things have happened. Everything in his hand potentially is boosted. Or at least half of the cards in his hand are boosted. Counting for mulligans and other factors. So that could be a Crushing Trap. It's fine, I guess. Just that we're not getting a lot of value. We're basically losing value on anything we play at this point. So I'll just play the Falamore.
I cannot fail.
And then end turn. Because then at the very least we're still getting value on other stuff. But yeah, we've got like a ridiculous bombardment potentially from Triss. Although she could pull a trap as well. And we've also got Philippa, which basically clears the entire board. So wait, does that mean it's not Crushing Trap? Yeah, I'm a little bit confused then. I think we're probably passing here. So it's a horn for nothing. Okay. 0-point horn. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what was going on there. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. And if I don't see you before Christmas, I want to wish everybody a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. Be sure to celebrate lots, eat even more, and check out The Witcher on Netflix because that just came out. And even though I haven't read any of the books or played any of the games, I have streamed Gwent for 2 years and I've had these little trickles of lore every so often, but I don't really understand the whole picture. So it will definitely be interesting to check that out. Also, I have another video coming out tomorrow. I'm going to be putting up a deck guide about a Nilfgaard Shoop deck. Currently, my peak with it on Pro Rank is 2437. So it will be definitely interesting to showcase that. Really, really versatile deck, really fun to play. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care, guys.